All right, hi everybody. This is going to be a short introduction to, let's just call it Introduction to Perspective Theory. So, theory H. All right. So 1, 2, and 3 point perspective. I don't like this pencil is too dark. Let's try this one. All right. So in the theory of perspective is important to know because these ideas are going to help you in practice when you're drawing from a still life or from observation outdoors, architecture, or you're making stuff up in your imagination. The theory is going to give you a set of tools to diagnose whether or not things are visually holding together and working together, or when you sense that something's a little off. This will give you some guidelines on how to diagnose why they aren't working. So let's start with very basic single point perspective. So single point, obviously meaning we have one vanishing point. So we can establish an eye level. We can maybe call this a horizon line, but I prefer eye level right here. Eye level is exactly that. It is where the level of your eyes are. And so if we are to draw in theory some objects that are above, at, or below eye level, this is going to establish that norm. So let's begin with just a box in single point perspective at eye level, right? Just like this, just a goofy little box. So I can loosely draw a rectangle here, or a square for now. And from these two corners, I'm going to draw a line connecting them back to my vanishing point. And then, because I'm making this up, I can draw the back of that box or cube or whatever it is. Now I have created the illusion of this box sitting as if it were the beginnings of a building out on the plains, the Great Plains. Okay, and there's the vanishing point. That is at eye level. Something that is at eye level, what that means is that I see neither the top nor the bottom of it. And this is important later on. I'm going to draw a box above eye level. And because it's above eye level, it means I'll be seeing the bottom of it. So this could be like the beginnings of drawing an airplane or something like that, the mothership. In this case, I've got three vanishing points here. 3 lines going back to that one. 3 lines going back to a single vanishing point. And since I'm making it up, I can put the box side and bottom wherever I want. What is one thing that's very important for this is to make sure that these lines are vertical, these lines are horizontal, and that they run parallel with each other. Let me erase these a little bit so to complete the illusion, give you an idea of what that looks like now. I'm seeing the bottom plane of that box. I can hatch that in real quick, make it feel a little more solid. If I jack this up, and I'm not mindful as I'm drawing, and I make this not parallel, you see how that creates a totally different shape or destroys the illusion. So maybe I want that, maybe in some theoretical drawing I'm doing, but for the most part, you want to be sure, you don't want to do it haphazardly. You want to be sure that those are parallel. So that is above eye level, that is at eye level, and let's go ahead and draw one, of course, below eye level, in which case I am going to see the surface of it, the top surface, just like this drawing desk is below eye level, of course, so I see the top surface of it. So I'm going to draw lines back to these three vanishing points, parallel and parallel. Now I have established a solid looking box. I'm going to take a minute here. Let me grab a different pencil, and I want to take a minute to mess around with these shapes. And just for a little more theory, but some fun things to play around with them. Everything in this little environment that I'm creating here is going to appear to recede back into this single vanishing point. Including if I want to create a road. Well, let's create a little bit of a sidewalk around this building. All of these lines are going to appear to go back into that vanishing point, like that. Horizontal line here, and that's going to go back into that vanishing point as well. And now let's create a road. Pretend this is just a little stopping place out in the middle of Nebraska somewhere that comes out of that vanishing point as well. These little pieces of architecture. So I've got my road or railroad tracks if I put a bunch of horizontal lines. Let's say I want to put a roof on this little house here. To find the center of this shape, this square, I'll throw a quick X in here, and that gives me the center. And it's easier to draw this by hand. Draw a line up there, decide how high I want the peak of that house. That roof is going to go down to that vanishing point. And these will be eyeballed parallel. So now I've got a little peaked roof on there. I could, if I had the inclination, put a weather vane up there, or all of that. I can put doorways and windows in there if I wanted a little doorway here. The sides of that doorway are going to go parallel, and the top is going to go back into that vanishing point. So there is basic 1-point perspective. And it's rather fun, but as you will see, it's really not the way that we experience the world. We experience the world most often in 2-point perspective. And so in order to create 2-point perspective, let me sharpen my pencil up here. Let's establish a horizon line or eye level. 2-point. eye level. 1, 2, and again, I'll start at eye level here just because it's easiest. This time I am not going to draw a square here. I'm just going to draw as if there is a corner of the box facing me, like this. 1 point perspective, this flat plane is what I see, and we never really see in 1 point perspective objects. We see them in, well, we kind of do, but not really. Mostly it's in 2 point perspective. You're seeing something off to one side or the other. So I am going to pretend that I am drawing a box at eye level, a box which will become anything I want it to be. And I want to start with just a single line, a front corner, so to speak. And then I'm going to establish my line from here and here, and easier with a ruler, quicker, here and there. So I've got this sense, this makes no sense right now. It's just this sort of diamond shape with a cross in it, but it will in a second. I'm going to create the one side and the other side here. Now it's beginning to come together. These must be parallel with this if we're following 2 point perspective. Now to complete the illusion, I will erase these diagonal guidelines and the horizon line that went through that box. And now I have established a very simple box in 2 point perspective, sitting out on the plains. Let's say we're in Kansas now. Following the same guides, if I want to put a peak roof on this or turn it into something else like that, I will put an X through it. Since this edge is closer and to me and larger, and this one is farther away and smaller, the center of this box is now in perspective. This plane is shifted back in space that way, which makes this length shorter than this length. So to find that, I'll put that X through there. Okay, now that illusion begins to make sense. And then however high I want this peak, this will go back to that vanishing point there, and this will run parallel with that-ish. There we go. And I have established the very beginnings of a house out on the plains, little house on the prairie. And I could put a window here with vertical lines, and the top and the bottom of that window go back to this vanishing point. Everything always goes back to vanishing points. The bottom would go there to that vanishing point. If I want a doorway here, vertical, vertical, make the doorway a little higher. The doorway top goes back to that vanishing point, etc., etc. Can continue on here. I could build out a driveway and all kinds of stuff, but you get the idea, I'm pretty sure. So let's draw something above eye level, front corner, because I get to make this up, right? I'm the artist. I'm going to make it about that big. And again, I'm drawing these from that top and bottom of that mark. I'm going to draw them back to that vanishing point. I'm not going to go all the way back because I have to draw through my house. I don't want to do that. That vanishing point. And there we go, that vanishing point. And now, parallel with this, and parallel with this. That seems about what I might want to play around with. To establish that bottom shape, I need to go back from the opposite corners into the vanishing point there, like this, and like this. So now I have created the right location. That's going to give me the location of that bottom corner. I'm going to come back to this shape up here and mess around with that a little bit in a minute. But first, let's establish a shape right here. I know. Let's do this right here. And off of there, of course, I'm going to go back to my appropriate vanishing points. There and there. To find the top, I will go back to the opposite vanishing points, just like I did for the bottom. Here, whoa, and here. That gives me the right location for that corner. And as you can see, I'm seeing very little of that top of this box. So I'm going to erase those so that we don't get all mixed up. Okay, so there we go, our little house out in Kansas. Now what we can do all kinds of stuff with these shapes. I can pretend that I have here a school bus, or better yet, more fun, a Westy Volkswagen bus, and I can begin to utilize this perspective. It's kind of a long, skinny 78 Westy, but utilize this perspective device to make sure that what I'm drawing has some semblance of being able to read in space as reality. Quickly sketch this stuff in here, just for plays. It's a little out of proportion, but I think you get the idea. I could spend a bunch of time dealing with barn doors and all the fun stuff you get with a Volkswagen. With this, I'm going to put a cross in here again and a cross in here just for funsies. And this one, I'm going to pretend that this is a big head, and the right here in the head, as you may know, you get, if this is just a head, let's sketch these in here. That is right between the eyes and the nose. Can be built out in terms of planes. course, we're seeing the underside of the nose there. We've got this poor farmhouse being overrun by a galactic overlord. And they got to escape in a 78 Westie, which just is not very fast. You have a neck hole right there. So there's all kinds of fun stuff to do with that. So that's 2-point perspective. Now, again, we really, if we want to get extreme about things, there is generally a third point of perspective. And that is where, when you're looking up at a skyrise, a high rise, or a long extended telephone pole, or you're looking down from a bird's eye view, maybe from an airplane onto a cityscape, the buildings will get thinner from the extremeness of your perspective. And so I am going to, let's just trick this out a little bit. Let's put a third, well, I'll start a third. This is 3-point. And let's do another eye level and pretend that we are creating something that has an extreme third point of perspective. And I'm going to pretend I don't have any of this here and pretend I have 1, 2, and in this case, 3 points of perspective. And that third point, I'm just going to use my ruler and draw straight down through that. And so from here, I'm going to establish the bottom lines back into my, I'm going to pretend that this skyscraper shape, I'm going to just make it this high so we don't get too lost in the desert, the plains of Kansas here. This shape that I'm going to create, I want to be sort of massive looking. So I will need to make these vanishing points as well. No. Structure. Hold on a second. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Sneezing fit, got myself situated. Bottom, again, 3-point. 1, 2, and 3. The top of my structure here, the bottom of it there. The top of my structure, just like with 2 points, needs to go back. I'm establishing the top edges back into my vanishing points. This is going to be how wide I want my structure here and here. And instead of drawing parallel lines like I would in 2-point, I need to go to my third vanishing point like this. And now I'll erase these. All right. This now you get this push of space as if it's extreme, and it is very, very high up in the sky. Put a little sidewalk around the base. I could build millions of little tiny windows in there. This is definitely extreme, but it gives you an idea of that. It probably would be way up here. All right, so that gives you an idea about the 1, 2, and 3 point perspective drawing in theory. I will do another video showing you how to apply that to observation in practice. And so look for that on the YouTube channel. Find that link if you're interested.